So I'm Dawn Berry. I teach fourth grade. I have been a teacher since 2000. I graduated. So I worked in a different district for about 10 years, then was a stay-at-home mom, and then have worked here about 7, 8 years. So kind of a fun experience. So I'm glad to be here to talk about this lovely pandemic and afterwards.
As we know, the last couple years in education has been weird, which is the understatement of the century.
Correct.
I'm sure it's been complete upheaval, whether it be technology changes, focusing on more social emotional learning. So for you, now that we're a couple years removed from when all of that churning started, how do you feel like the pandemic changed you as a teacher?
Great question. So the pandemic changed me in a lot of ways, but as a teacher, I definitely say all three of those ways. So technology, I think it's enhanced my technology. So for example, I was just talking to you and I said podcasts. Before I was very paper friendly and now I'm very much electronic based with parent communication. I think just so much more comfortable with technology that we were asked to do kind of it on the spot and we learned quickly, but now I'm not afraid of it. And where I think starting teaching in 2000, those were some of the things that I was like, hey, can I do this? And so that in itself, technology, I am extremely stronger in, and I'm not afraid, and the kids are very savvy in it, so it's just helped completely from the pandemic. So I would say that of all is probably where I've gained the most, and I think kids they love technology, so it's enhanced. That's been a positive.
In a fourth grade classroom, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis in the classroom with technology now, differently than what it looked like, say, in 2018 or 19?
Awesome that you asked that. So before, I feel like we were very much more paper, and it was like, oh, maybe we'll go and use the Chromebook in a little bit, and where it's a lot of choice. So it's kids, do you want to use the Chromebook, or would you rather write it? And there's a lot of, we start our day with technology, we end our day, it's embedded throughout our entire day. So where I mentioned podcasts, kids are recording themselves on their weekly updates. They're also very much using apps that they've never used before. So for example, with like math, if they need a reinforcement of a skill, they can then go and kind of get that from our Google Classroom, and where our Google Classrooms were kind of our landing place, I feel like they now can go and shop for that resource, and it's more guided, but it also has allowed for a lot of growth for them and also that student choice.
So they have more access to that technology just all the time. And you said that they're recording themselves for weekly updates. Like, what is that?
So that's that podcast. So on a Monday they sign up for it. So they'll be given a script, and they like a blank script, and they fill it out, and throughout the week they plan it. And then on a Friday they use like an Anchor, it's called Anchor app, and they record themselves, and they get to go to the principal's office and record themselves, and then that's then shared with all the parents. So which is awesome, and it's from their point of view, but they get to interview people like you and I are doing right now, which I had not done pre-pandemic. It's not that I don't think I could have done it. I think the pandemic helped me know, hey, this is another way to communicate, and this is putting the kids in the leadership role.
And that's something that came about during the pandemic when they were still, at least some kids were learning from home still?
Yes, so great that you brought that up. So you had asked also about social emotional. So yes, as teachers during the pandemic, we were juggling kind of a couple different things. So we had some at home, we had some right in front of us, we had some coming different days. That juggle was real, and that social emotional part of that was one thing that I feel like as a teacher that I had taught before the pandemic and after, the group work before was so important, but it's so much more important now. And so we started just kids telling the other kids on screen like what was going on in the classroom because they weren't there. So it wasn't as formalized as this podcast script now, but it was that conversation of, hey, this is something, and this is what we did today. And, I had different roles like the chat monitor. And so different kids, I tried leadership roles, but coming post-pandemic, that relationship and that group work is everything. And that's where I feel, where before I felt like the curriculum was my guiding force, it's now those relationships. So when you asked what were some things from the pandemic, I realized the importance of people and the importance of working together. Um, I did it before and it was more of an option, but now even more, we start with a morning meeting and we talk about how we're feeling, and that's guided throughout our day, and then we end the same way. So technology is embedded in our whole day, so are relationships, and really that flexibility of teachers, where I feel like before it was like, okay, we got to get this assignment done, or we have to do this homework. It's now more, how are you today? Let's work where you're at and let's go from there. So I know I've done a lot of talking, but
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, yes, it's great.
Yeah, and again, your kids in 4th grade now, when the pandemic began and they had to go home for the first time and learn from home for the first time, they were in the 1st grade.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about the social part of this,
Mm-hmm.
along with the stress and the trauma that the pandemic brought for so many kids and so many families, they've missed out, or maybe not missed out, but their experience from 1st to 4th grade has been so different. So I could totally see how the relationships and the social component of that and the emotional component of that has taken center stage over the last couple of years.
Most definitely. And really, it taught me even, as you get in your veteran years, you're like, oh, the kids, they can't spell this sentence or they can't do this. And it's more, that doesn't matter really. It's also, how are we feeling? And we need to prepare them to be able to work together and, survive. And I mean, we all survived the pandemic, but that's truly that like the relationship is everything. It really is. Between the teacher and the student, between the student and the student, between the building, between even seeing each other. It's everything.
Is there, as we close out here, is there anything else just about what your experience as a teacher has been over the last couple of years? Obviously, education has been a huge national story, almost in a way that it wasn't before the pandemic. Is there something about being a teacher that you just wish more people knew about?
It's a lot of work. No.
Well, yes. I don't think anyone's going to dispute
more.
that. Yes. Do we have that on camera? Get that on camera.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
I'm just kidding. As you said, your family members are teachers. I really think we're kind of like, as teachers, we need those parents. It's also a team. So where the parents had to kind of step in and do all these things, we truly are still a team. And I feel like that team aspect, we can't do it without the kids on board, without the parents on board. It's truly collaborating together. So it's collaboration, and it's not that against each other. It's like, hey, what can we do to do the best thing for your kiddo?